Just finished first service, and we're in week 3 of Route 66, Romans Road, and talking about Romans chapter 1, verse 18 through 31. It's kind of hard to recap such a message like this one because there's so many things. By talking about it, you open up so many cans that you have to deal with certain things. And I started out talking about counterfeiting and how it's such a big industry, but how we counterfeit, or how we're satisfied with counterfeits when it comes to our faith. Romans chapter 1 verse 18 says this. It says, "The wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all godlessness and wickedness of men who suppress the truth by their wickedness." And so we talked about the wrath of God. We talked about why God's angry, and we should be angry about certain things, and just there should be certain things that make our blood boil, like rape, child molestation, abuse. All those things are terrible things that should make our blood boil. And there are things that anger God. There are things that cause His wrath to be revealed. And it's sin. It's sin because sin destroys us. And He doesn't want us to be destroyed. And so, that's enough right there to just start a discussion in your small group and just talk about some things that maybe you're angry about, but that angers God, that sin that destroys us. And so we then went on to talk about suppressing the truth and how we all spin the truth, how we all do things that put us in a better light and put other people in a not so good light, or we just spin the truth. We suppress information so that we look better and maybe somebody else doesn't look so bad, or however the case. But and then there's also, on a larger scale, there's an effort to suppress the truth. There's a huge concentrated effort to spin things, to convince us that certain things are right and certain things are wrong. And man, unfortunately, we have fallen into a lot of that trap, and we've allowed the truth to be suppressed. And I talked about some things that I think that we've traded, some counterfeit things. One, we talked about just sex before marriage. That's a great thing to talk about. Is that something that God still values? Absolutely. And why? Why is it? Is it because God's an old fuddy-duddy grandpa? He doesn't understand? Absolutely not. Sin destroys us, and He knows it. And so He wants the very best for us. But I really focused on another thing, and that's mentioned in verses 18 or verses 19 through 31, and that's homosexuality. I spent some time talking about it and opening a can of worms, and this is a good topic to discuss. Here's the thing, though, when we talk about it, most of the times we don't look to God's Word. We just look at what's going on in pop culture. What's culture telling us? And I'll tell you what they're going to tell us. They're going to tell us to shut our mouth, because they don't want to know, they don't want to hear what God has to say. God's Word gets twisted, and honestly, the truth gets suppressed. Data, research, all that stuff, it gets suppressed. God values marriage. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4 says marriage should be honored by all. Marriage should be put on the top shelf. And unfortunately, in our culture, it's in the toilet, man. It's being flushed. It's swirling. We've got to put it in a place in our hearts first. We got to put it in a place of honor, and we got to live it out. Let's live out the truth. Our response biblically should be that we live out the truth instead of suppressing it. We live it out. You don't have to go declare it. You don't have to go picketing and screaming what you believe is true. Just live it out, and God will do the rest. You'll want to catch next week's talk, because it's a great balance to this message. And that's Romans 2:1. We'll talk about it next week. God bless you. Have a great small group.